Frank, you've been around a lot of basketball, and you know that over the course of a long season, there are rough patches. Have you stressed that to the team is just a rough patch and nothing to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I talk about it all the time. We don't over celebrate when we play well and win, and I don't dwell on negativity when we don't play as well as we need to and not win. We played three real good teams. We've lost 3 games against 3 real good teams, 2 of which were at home in games that we had a chance to win and we didn't close it out, and one being at Vanderbilt, where they're very good and they're playing their best basketball of the year. And, it's it's unfortunate. We've had some guys jump up and make shots that earlier in the year guys weren't making, and give those teams credit. Have we played as well as we're capable of? No. Defensively, have we not played? That's not very good English. Defensively, have we slipped a little? Yes. I'm encouraged with how we practiced before Vanderbilt, and I'm encouraged how we defended for 30 minutes in Vanderbilt. We played more to our identity. We still didn't rebound it the way we need to, but that's been an ongoing challenge with our team all year. That's not something new.
Questions, guys?
The things you talked about after Arkansas, spirit and mojo and that sort of thing. How quickly did you see that come back and those guys get the message you wanted them to get?
Yeah, they were awesome Thursday and Friday leading into the Vanderbilt game. I think that's why we played more to our character. Now, obviously, we didn't defend the way we needed to coming down the stretch there, those last 10 minutes. But I think also our inability to make free throws and open threes kind of impacted that game and kind of, I don't want to say it broke our spirit because our spirit's not broken, but in that game, in that moment, it impacted the spirit we needed to defend a very good offensive team in Vanderbilt. And they've been great. I like my team a lot. I liked them last month. I liked them in October. I like them today. They've been great. And they're kids. We got a lot of young guys. They're trying to figure it out as we speak. Losing is not a positive. Some people find silver linings in losing. I'm not a very gracious loser. I believe you find silver linings in everything that comes across your plate, not just when you lose a game. I don't particularly believe in that whole rhetoric that you learn from your team when you lose. I think you learn about people when you lose. You don't learn about your team. And we've got young people, and it's my job to educate them and help them learn how to handle these moments.
Coach, going off that, how much do you rely on your senior leadership to get the younger guys to stay positive during this difficult time?
Yeah, you got to have that. Can't succeed without it. Can't. You can't. Your practices become. Young kids are emotionally tied up to winning and losing. That's facts of life. And when you got upperclassmen, they understand that dealing with both of those things is part of the deal, and not overreacting to either is the most important thing. And we've got that. We've got a solid group of guys there, and they've done a phenomenal job. And we were as good yesterday as we have been in a long, long time. And that came from them, not from me. I didn't come in there and scream and kick chairs and do all the stuff that people think I do. We've communicated, coach to player, player to player. We're on both the way we do all the time. And those guys came out and yesterday were just off the charts. And going back to the previous question, I feel we have refound that desire to play with just relentless pursuit of winning. And I saw it leading into Vanderbilt. I saw it for a big part of that game. And I saw it even to a greater extent yesterday. Does that mean we're going to win? No. It didn't mean we're going to win in November, December, January. It just means that that's who our team is.
Frank Sim was in here a few minutes ago talking about how the young guys go through, they hit the wall in a long season at times. Is there anything that you as the coaches can do to kind of overcome that, or is that just their learning experience?
Tony Bennett and I have unbelievable respect for each other. And I was talking to him yesterday, and we were both laughing at the same thing. He's got It's my son calling me, excuse me. He's got a freshman that has made a lot of shots for them. And they're playing North Carolina on Sunday, and he tells me the story, and he starts laughing, and I start laughing. He says the first 3 shots he shot against North Carolina, he was wide open, shot air balls. It's just, first-year guys, man, it's hard on them. They've never had to practice so hard for so long. Every play in practice is competitive. The responsibility for winning gets greater later in the year than it is halfway or early in the year. And, you know, young kids just struggle with that. That's why upperclassmen are so important. It's our guys are no different than the rest of them out there. Be all right. I like the makeup of our team.
Franco, Florida was kind of a thin team to begin with. They got thinner with Egbunu suffering his injury. How vital will it be for Chris and Mike to stay in the game and really attack Florida at the rim?
Dave, you must be watching a different film than me. You think the team that's won whatever 10 straight league games is thin? Ooh, I think they're real good. Now, does Egbunu not being there, it makes him different. Makes him different. He obviously is their shot blocker. He obviously is a low post presence. He's a big, strong, athletic, physical presence at the rim that's a problem for everybody. But I think Mike's got that team playing through his eyes, through his vision, and that's why they've played as well as they have. That's why they're as good as they are. And they've got, you got to understand, they have, if Egbunu was their only upperclassman, kind of like when we lost Sindarius earlier this year, they had a bunch of young guys. I can see them trying to figure it out for a couple weeks. They've got unbelievable experience on that team, from Chiozza to Casey Hill to Devin Robinson to Barry to Justin Leon. Just keep going. Every one of those guys has played a ton of games for the Florida Gators in college basketball. So those guys will be fine as far as adapting to whatever different ways they're trying to play now.
Frank, I think you two are 2 of the top 4 teams in the country right now in defensive efficiency. Yours starts with ball pressure. What do they do well defensively that allows them to be this consistent?
Their size. They're just so big at the they're just all, you know, you got Casey Hill, who's a senior, who can really, really guard the basketball. You got Chiozza, who comes in off the bench after Casey Hill comes off, and then he comes in and really, really guards the basketball. You got Kayvon Allen, who's as athletic and as good a steal guy as there is out there. I mean, he anticipates, he's a big, strong guard. And then outside of them 3, everyone else is in that 6'6" to 6'9" range, interchangeable. So it makes it hard to pass. It makes it hard to shoot. They can switch a lot of stuff. And, you know, and to their defensive concepts, when they switch, they kind of keep everything in front of them. And when you got that kind of size and length and athleticism, it makes it hard to pass. And not everyone always talks about shooting oversized. Passing oversized becomes extremely difficult. It makes it hard. Makes it hard. And if you can't make good, clean, short passes, it makes scoring that much harder.
Based on the success that Canyon Barry has had, shooting free throws underhanded, and of course the success his father had during his Hall of Fame career, are you surprised that more players don't shoot free throws underhanded?
Am I surprised? No, because it probably doesn't look sexy. You know, it's like everything else in life. When, you know, not too many people have the courage to do things different than the norm. And the norm is shoot it the way 99.9% of the people shoot it. That's the norm. I give that young man a lot of credit because it's my understanding, I don't know this, that he used to shoot them like everyone else. And then he had a conversation with his dad, and he's learned to do this over the last couple of years, if what I read is accurate. A lot of credit to him. A lot of credit to him for, you know, not be embarrassed to try something that no one else does. And my English is pathetic today. Not only not be embarrassed by it, but is he the best free throw shooter in the league right now? He's got to be up there. He's shooting that thing over 80%. You know, it's credit to him. Credit to him. You got to do what works for you. That's the way the world works. I don't care what you do. If you're worried about what other people think, you'll never find success. You got to do what works for you. Obviously, he's comfortable in his own skin, and this is working for him, and that's why he's gotten real good at it.
Questions? Pete?
Frank's a little bit off topic, but in a couple weeks, South Carolina's getting ready to have a lot of postseason basketball that we couldn't have had when you got here. We all know some of the tragic circumstances that have led to why. Is there an excitement or relief that perhaps maybe the rest of the country is going to get to see some of the things you found out about South Carolina basketball?
God, positive stuff about basketball here in our state, Pete. Wow. I might put me in a good mood for the rest of the week. It's awesome what the teams around the state are doing. I absolutely, whether it's Furman or College of Charleston, Clemson's fighting their tail off to survive in the ACC and earn the right to play in the postseason. Obviously, we're in the same boat. There's a lot of basketball left for all these teams. Winthrop, Wofford, all of them. They're all doing well. I've built relationships and friendships with the coaches in this state. I root for them. It helps the sport grow in our state. The more the sport grows in our state, the more it grows at the grassroots level, the better it is for all of us for the obvious reasons of recruiting. And I think it's awesome. I'm kind of wrapped up in my own world right now. I try to follow those schools best I can. I hope we can do our part. I feel good about our team. Were you referring to us or the teams in the state?
Also, that there's going to be an NCAA tournament here in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
SEC women, ACC women, all being played in the state.
Our state gets beat up a lot nationally for whatever issues took place a million years. I should say a million years ago. That's not fair. But up to recent times, I think our state doesn't get the credit it deserves for the love the people here have, for how progressive we are as to adjusting to difficult things and willing to confront them and handle them through love and education rather than hatred for one another. Because of those things, now we can have NCAA tournaments here in the state. I think it's a powerful message of what great people we have running our state, living in our state, coexisting in our state. I wish our state would get, because I hear other states that are real close to us criticize us a lot. And I'm glad I live here and not some of those other places. Yep. Oh, boy.
Off topic.
I see that look on his face.
The NBA All-Star game yesterday. I mean, eventually somebody's going to score 200 points in that game. From a basketball purist standpoint, I mean, did you watch it? Can you like that the NBA does that to its All-Star game, or does it bother you that they let their All-Star game become, as I see it, like a charade of basketball?
It doesn't bother me. I watched the first quarter because my 18-year-old son loves it. Then I stopped watching. I actually had to watch a team play real basketball called the Florida Gators. And here's what happens, and I think it happens with all the all-star games in all the sports. It's funny you ask, because I was just having this conversation with my barber of all people this morning. Some of you guys have been around here for a while. You might know him, Ron Hankerson, who's the unbelievable guy and just loves the Gamecocks and loves sports. But I think all-star games were powerful when you didn't see games every single night on TV on 10 different stations. It was the gathering of all those incredible players that you never saw, but maybe 10 times a year, and you got to see them play together. And they knew that, so they gave a more competitive team effort because they were trying to sell the sport and the league. Now, how many times have we seen Russell Westbrook go for a triple-double. See it every night. It's an unbelievable thing. That powerful moment of the All-Star game is kind of gone because we see it so often. So now it's become about, you think, I don't know this, and I hope I don't, no one, I guess everyone that don't like me will come out and say, there's Frank spouting out the mouth. Think it's by mistake that Anthony Davis scored 56 points with the game in New Orleans? You think that happened by mistake? You understand what I'm saying? That didn't happen by mistake. And those guys are great players, and it's a great weekend for them. They deserve the break from that. Can you imagine college guys, like we're talking about our first-year guys being tired? We've yet to play 30 games. Can you imagine when they got to play 82? The ones that are lucky to get in that league? They deserve the break, to celebrate, to relax, to enjoy, so they can kind of recharge the batteries for the stretch run. They've earned it. I don't watch it. I did it for my two boys because they're young and they think it's awesome. But I don't watch it. I think all-star games in all sports have lost its luster because we see so, I remember when I was a kid, you might see 5 NFL teams play a year. There was 2 games on TV weekly, period, end of story, that's it. Now you get the NFL, whatever it's called, network, you see every game. You see every guy every week all over and over and over and over. So you don't get to see that meeting of the stars. Doesn't make as big an impact on fans like it once did. Maybe that's me. It's funny you ask. I just had that conversation this morning.
Hey, Frank, just to follow up on that, you said your 18-year-old son loved it. Well, what about kids all over the country? Because the All-Star game the NBA is looking like a video game. And, lots of kids probably play more video basketball than they do in, getting on the court and playing. In this day and age, because free throw shooting is not a sexy part of the game, and they see the dunks, they see the three-point shots going up, the passes, does that affect kids and working on their fundamentals, especially something like free throws?
I think it affects the adults that teach the kids, because then the kids want to play like the players play in the All-Star game, where they just take bad shots and they shoot off the dribble and they don't pass and there's no screening and no defense. And then the adults cave into the kids and allow them to do that when they're playing, and that's not – those pros aren't as good as they are because they take bad shots. I don't know if that makes sense. Those pros are as good as they are because they learned how to play team basketball. There's other places where people play one-on-one basketball and go to the Rucker Park. I've sat there and watched it. Unbelievable individual players. But for obvious reasons, they have never been able to succeed in organized team basketball over 100 games. Those guys that play in the NBA, they have figured it out. They understand that. Young kids, they think that when they see the All-Star game that that's what it's all about. And they don't understand how good you got to be able to play in that league. The adults that are in their lives need to teach them how to play the game and not let them play like they do in the All-Star game. I don't know if that makes sense or not, Rick, but I think kids are kids, man. Kids are going to try and emulate and do what they see grown-ups do. And then the grown-ups that are actually in their lives determine who those kids become by the structure that they give them every day, by not giving in to them and forcing them to learn how to do things the right way. I think that's a societal problem. That's a different conversation. But since you asked, it's no different than I think what happens in basketball.
Last question, Mike.
Since it is President's Day, I feel like I can ask this question. There was a interesting article last week in the New York Times.
You're asking politics?
Sort of. It's more sports related.
The unknown answer.
So last week, Gino Auriemma was asked, because they're favored to win the national championship this year, if any of his players, if they decided not to attend the ceremony at the White House, if he would have a problem with that. I'm wondering, in the next 4 years, if you are so fortunate to win a national championship, if you would have a problem with that.
I haven't thought about it. Probably not. Probably not. I haven't agreed with every president that's been in the White House in my lifetime. But I love this country, and I love what this government stands for. As a whole, I'm not going to judge our country based on who I like and don't like. I think we do an injustice to young people when we make them think that this country's run by one person. I think it's an injustice. And anytime we take a stand against one person, and we can do whatever we want to here. I'm not trying to tell people how to do things. You ask me my opinion, I'm kind of sharing it with you. I think we do an injustice. This is the beautiful thing in our country is that we all have different voices, and we can all express our voices and our views. I think I would be disappointed if any of our players chose not to attend. If they were adamant about it, I'm not going to force them to go. I'm not going to put their scholarship on the line and make them do something that they feel that strongly about. But I would let them know as their coach, as the guy that tries to mentor them, try to educate and try and prevent that from happening. But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and they don't live in a country where you're forced to do what you don't want to do. And I guess at the end of the day, I'd be okay coaching somebody who'd be against it. I would just be disappointed in their unwillingness to understand that this country has moved forward, contrary to what the media wants to get us to believe. We haven't moved backwards. We've moved forward in the last 50 years. Since my family arrived in this country has moved forward. Does it move forward at a great rate, great pace? Is it perfect? No. But it's moved forward. And for us to act as if one person runs or controls the decisions of this country is false. And I think it'd be a disservice to what this country stands for, what we're about, and my love for the opportunity this country's given me, for me to get selfish because of my personal views on one person and not be supportive of the thing as a whole. All right, I'll put my shirt back down.